Welcome to the Chatbox, everybody. We are episode 5, and this is a very, very special segment for you guys. The LGBT-What community is here with us. The what part is what's going to be answered for everyone because we have so many different sides to this entire thing. But first, I want to say hi to everybody who's in the room. We all know Jen. What's going on, girl?
Hello, hello.
How's your day? How's your week?
Excellent. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
Yeah, I've been really excited about this too. And then B, what's going on, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing good. Yeah, things are going great. I'm really excited for this podcast. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. So.
I bet, yeah. Okay, now this is one of our very first guests. Those are our hosts, of course. The hostess with the mostesses. Now this is one of our wonderful special guests, Orlando. Introduce yourself, please.
Yes, my name is Orlando Ortiz. I'm so happy to be here surrounded by friends, really, the people that I can call my friends who are their authentic selves, really. So thank you for having me for this edition. I'm the Community Engagement Manager of Mountain Pride and also the Maria Program Manager for the Eagle Valley Community Foundation.
Both amazing organizations here in our community. You guys do so much. They're all about altruism. And the one thing I like about Orlando is you remind me of one of those newscasters because you speak perfect English until you say your name. Orlando Ortiz. I think it's so cute. It's sexy, too, the way you say it. All right, and then this beautiful soul to my left.
I'm Tiara. Hi.
I don't know. She is just as outgoing as Orlando normally.
Okay, you know what? We'll start again. I'm Tiara. I'm gay. Hi.
Oh, I love her. She's the gayest gay I know.
Am I actually?
No.
Okay.
I've seen $3 bills shooting out of people, so no. That's an old school term. I don't even know if you guys even got that. No, see, look at that. Okay, well, I'm not going to start it off with things that are against the queer nation. I want to start off with saying, first of all, thank you very much for everybody being here. I am super proud of everyone that comes out to talk about things that are a little bit sensitive, especially in our community. There's division not only in the world over pretty much everything in this life, but when it comes to gender topics or sexuality topics or any of the things that have to do with things that are not considered quote unquote the norm, which is not even the norm anymore, then things get a little questionable and concerning. And I would like to answer a lot of questions for people and understand things from others. I actually went about speaking to a few people of the community to ask them if they had a question in mind. How would they feel if I could ask for them? So I might come up with a few questions and I'll let you know if that was from somebody else. But for the truth is that in this room right now, I couldn't even say we have one gay woman, one gay man, one... Hold on.
Yeah.
I had it.
I know you got one.
Oh my God.
Binary.
Non-binary. Sorry, I don't know why I got stumped.
No,
I can't, but you know why I can't say that? Because, like, and then I come to us. Like, do you consider yourself a pure heterosexual woman?
I think that, that there's a scale, of course, right? And so I do consider myself a heterosexual woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's cool because, like, me, I've never really known.
And it's okay to get it wrong as well.
Yeah.
It's okay and just correct yourself and keep going.
I'm stepping on my word. I'm stepping on myself all the time, especially when I am with B, and I'm always trying to remember to say them and they. And when I fall off the pronoun truck, I get really mad at myself. I know that you don't get mad, but I get mad at myself. Now, there's other people that are offended by this whole frickin' thing, which is so stupid. I want to touch on that a little bit, but I also want to touch on all of the positivity that comes from speaking out about who you are. And like I said, I've always not been confused. I've been almost every relationship has been with a man, but it doesn't mean that I haven't been attracted to women or even maybe took it somewhere, but and then, like, right now I'm married and old, but I swear, you ever watch shows like Grace and Frankie or something like that? I could picture myself completely turning into a gay woman if my poor husband left me before I went. I don't think I can handle another penis in my life.
Well, I feel like that's a great, like, it's such a spectrum, and that's like something I wanted to say because like it really is such a spectrum, and like labels can definitely be helpful for people and help them fit in, but they can also be really unhelpful for people too. And like in my experience, I don't like to use labels because in my experience, there's like a lot of exceptions to like rules and stuff and things like that. So I don't want to sit here and say, oh, I'm definitely a lesbian or oh, I'm definitely bi, because there's probably definitely exceptions for me, and I really wanted to like make a point of mentioning that it's okay to not like know exactly, and that maybe every label isn't going to fit you perfectly, and that's okay. If labels are good, that's good, but like not everyone is going to know, and if you don't know exactly what it is, or if you have exceptions, that doesn't make you any less valid.
That is such a beautiful way to put that, especially because there's a lot of people that are confused out there. There's a lot of young people that aren't sure what's going on, and then they're affected by the social aspect of life because kids, some are accepting and some aren't, and kids are cruel and everything else. So it's almost like, I feel like if you could just fall in love with a person, like if we could all just enjoy each other from the neck up, just for a while, you know what I mean? Neck up, people. You know, do you understand what I'm saying? No, what do you think, Orlando?
Well, I think I agree with you. Thank you for sharing that, because labels can be something negative to some people, but also I feel that growing up, or as you continue to learn about yourself, those labels, can continue to change as you begin to learn more about yourself and what you like, what you don't like. So it's also fair to, as you learn more about yourself, to be fluid in that spectrum as well.
I like that. And there's a way to educate without it being, some people feel like it's forced upon them. I'm like, you don't have to be forced to do or listen or take part in anything. Do you ever feel like anything's forced upon you for change? I mean, change to me is growth.
I 100% agree that change is growth. And I think that, I don't expect others to fall into labels. I'm not a type of person that like thrives on categorizing things. Like, I think I'm more of like an observer. So for instance, like English grammar for me is a nightmare because it's very like prescriptive. Like it has to be this way, blah, blah, blah. I'm a very much like an observer. So I observe the way people are, and I accept I might have questions, but I don't think that one way or another is wrong.
That's great. And B, how do you feel about this entire scenario? And I would love for you to give a small description of the world you live in.
Sure. Everyone has made some amazing points, and I'm still on my growing phase and learning phase on where I am at. And maybe I'm an egg. I have no idea. I'm still sort of figuring that stuff out. But it's always nice to know that people are here supporting you, and that I've seen a lot of great change over these years about how accepting the LGBTQ community is to everyone else, and how everyone else is more accepting to them as well. And I think we're on a very positive track, but I'm very, very worried for this election year, is all I got to say.
Oh, my God. We could really go into that, but then it would change the entire topic. Because the way I view it is, if we go where it looks like we are going, it's going to be harder for people in the LGBT community, the female community in general. I'm talking about going back in time. I'm talking about evolution taking a screeching halt, spinning around, pivoting, and going back the other way, because I get the goosebumps when I feel it I just feel it. If it goes that way, we're all gonna have to, I don't know, band together and pull a mutiny. I wouldn't know what to do. I'm really living in hope. How do you feel? I'm worried about our future.
Me too. And like, I would say, speaking for other people, I have queer friends who live in like Florida, for example, who are now facing like all kinds of things, who have like actually seen a change in their daily lives, and like a change in being able to be safely who they are, just from politics and all of that. And like, if that were to, like, that for right now is kind of, I don't want to say isolated to Florida, because it's certainly not, but it's like a particular issue in Florida. And I feel like if that were to spread with like this election, yeah, but I guess I mean, like, if it were to like really become
Right. Well, it's
like
what you
politics.
witnessed.
Yes.
I grew up in Florida. All right. Now you guys know I'm the oldest one in the room. Hey. But my point is this: when we were growing up, imagine. Okay, so I am curious to know, like, when you were growing up, how you felt. Did you feel awkward and just misplaced because of any confusion? But when we were growing up, like I said, I had a cousin who lived with us practically, so he was like a brother, and he was so out of place because at that time, we're talking in the 70s, kids did not just come out at all. They were petrified, they were bullied, they were beaten, and it still happens. Absolutely. And it really does still happen. We know a lot of news stories that have come out, but it's better than it was when I was growing up. Yeah. So there's no shame at least anymore. I feel like people were putting shame on people that were considered gay, bi, queer, whatever the label thing, and I think that part of this whole initiative has come hugely in waves, just big time, big steps ahead. So with politics the way it is, we can be worried or we can take a stand and we can be strong and never let it take us down. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely. I think that's the key, right? To come together, stand up for each other, and it's not just the LGBTQ community standing up for each other, it's our allies.
Yes.
And especially in a place where we live here, we depend on our allies so much, for events, donations, but also to stand up when they hear something in school or at work or whatever, to stand up and really fight, for the right thing to do.
That's so well said. And it's true. If you can't fight and have support, then you're banging your head against a wall. You need the support. You can't just be one unit against the world. You have to have that feeling of community. You have to have that feeling of people that care and understand and that don't look. I wish that labels could all just go away in general. Wouldn't that be nice? Because we're people. We're humans.
Well, and that's an interesting question because do you think it is... I've heard arguments that labels are good, like we touched on earlier, and they're negative. Do you think, do you have a case for one way or another that label, because you can feel proud to be a lesbian. You can be proud to be,
Right, but you don't say, go ask that lesbian at the supermarket where the corn is. So you would never be called that. But you see that girl over there? She's got to be gay. Go ask her where. No, but he, she, they, them. You identify as they and them. This is a question that I got from one of our members of our community. Why do you pick a plural word?
It's not plural. Shakespeare used it as a singular in I forget which play he did, but when he used it as a singular word. It can be singular. It is not just plural.
No
that
way.
Is it.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God, I got bitch slapped on that one. Wow. I had no idea.
Sorry. It just really annoys me that people are like, you're just using bad grammar. It's not bad grammar. It's been used as a singular for hundreds of years.
But don't you feel glad that I brought it up? Because many people think like that question. And it wasn't my question, just saying now. And I'm not going to say who it was because that got you upset.
And that's another way to be like a good ally.
Yeah.
To use, proper verbiage that you won't make someone uncomfortable.
Right.
And so it's just, sometimes you don't have to agree with it or understand it. You just have to respect the person's preferences and use it.
Yes.
But yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I like that. What do you think?
No, I think that's great. I think, and I think is there a world in which you think labels are helpful, going back to that original question, to identify with something or to help,
Well, I think, the word queer is something that, in the past has been used as a derogatory term.
Yeah, that was a
to
question
refer
from
to
somebody
us,
about that.
to our community members, and now we've taken it back, and now I think that's a great word to use, the umbrella word to all of our community members.
Okay.
So I don't think you have to necessarily use labels. It's up to the person. Again, going back to the pronouns, whether they want to use that or not, but it's more of a personal preference, I think, and a respect thing.
Okay.
I feel
go ahead, sweetie.
I feel like labels themselves aren't a good or a bad thing either. I don't think it's really fair to put morality on it, because it's like it can be really helpful to some people, and it can really help them find a place that they feel like they fit in and like they have a community. But for other people, they might be like, oh, I don't really fit into anything, and this is just feeling more isolating to me than anything else. So I think it's labels themselves aren't good or bad. It's every individual person's experience.
That's wonderful. However, I love that thought. But then there's all these judgy a-holes out there that don't know what the individual thing is about, and maybe they want to. Some people don't care, and some people would love to know. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you brought something up, and this is a question from a little bit me as well, and my husband, and a very few people that I've talked to that are more of 50 years old. And I'm a little dork. Sometimes I'll go watch TMZ because I don't know why. I just like that show. And Harvey Levin is a very prominent gay attorney host of the show. And he openly said, I refuse to use the word queer. I grew up and it was a bad word. It was a bad word against me because he grew up gay, queer. And he was so adamant about it. And it's really just a stupid Hollywood show where they talk about celebrities, but he got so right
defensive
on the horse, and he was very, very adamant. Now, coming from a gay man, that threw me, because for me and my husband and other people that were raised in a time where that was like using a bad word for any type of person, a derogatory word for black people, Jewish people, anything like that. Queer was right there in that category. You didn't even write that word down. So it's so hard to feel. I feel like I feel so shameful when I use the word. Because it was embedded and ingrained in my brain. Was it with you, or were you past that point? Because you're 20 years younger than I am.
Yeah, I don't think that it was. I mean, I think that it's been ameliorated, and I feel like we've kind of ebbed and flowed with it. Like, I don't feel like it ever, like, it felt one way or another, like, that intense to me. But, like, I think that, like, where I grew up, like, people, we kind of, I mean, people called everybody everything across the spectrum. So, like, not that it was better,
You're just
but
one big bigoted group.
kind of not bigoted, but like, because it's so hard to explain this, but I feel like because everybody was made fun of in some way or another, like, nothing felt singled out. It was like
So nobody
equally
was offended.
distributed. Kind of. It was like the tolerance for that kind of term, like, was
Right.
better. Like, and, you know, of course you'd be like, you know, you'd be sticking up for people, and like
Yes.
there were moments where if it felt serious or dangerous,
Yes.
like, that's crossing a line, and that's different.
Okay.
You know what I mean? However,
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, and then-
so it was evolving. It was on its own kind of coming to light a little bit, maybe, and being more accepted as a word instead of something that was taboo.
Yeah, I don't think it was necessarily taboo for us, but yeah, I think that.
It's interesting. It's only been like a couple of years, right? That the acceptance of the word has been.
I honestly don't know the timing, but it's been
feels
like
like
more
it's
than
new.
that. More than
Feels
that.
like it's been more than
It feels
But-
new to me, more new than most things, you know.
But
And the
I'm
whole-
okay personally for someone to use that word
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
But you bring a good point. It may not be, you know, something good for someone else. You know,
Right.
it's like that individual that you're talking about. So then that's okay. Now we know about that.
Yes.
They express that to us.
Right.
So it's up to us to continue honoring that.
See, I like that, and I like the attitude that you all have. So if somebody like me is still a little uneasy about it, you accept that as much as I accept that it is okay to say it, but we're all going to work around it together because we're all a big family and we love each other. And I'm super proud of everybody that does their own thing, speaks their own mind, stands their own ground, and has a voice. And in this community, I wanted to ask, you know, each one of you guys, including you, B, have you faced any kind of negative issues or backlash living in Vail, feeling judged or anything like that?
Like, personally, or are we talking about
Well,
like the things
in
like
general.
with the gypsum town council and stuff like
You can
that?
say whatever
or
you'd
the
like, yeah.
people in like different committees and stuff.
Sure.
Because there's definitely issues in this town with it. There's
Like what?
some very prominent members of different like councils and committees who are very actively homophobic and very
Wow.
actively speaking out against our community. There's people like who protested at Pride and stuff.
Yeah.
Things like that.
I
So
was
like it's
smacking
definitely
megaphones out of mouths that day.
it's definitely like not. It's certainly better here than a lot of other places.
Well, sure.
I'll say that much. But like it's definitely not like, oh, there's nothing wrong here at all. But I've never been personally like called out or like attacked by anybody, but
'Cause
I've
you're so
definitely
adorable. Look at you.
seen it as like an overall problem a little bit.
Okay, I get that. And
makes
that's
sense.
important to know because this is something we want to talk about and bring awareness to so people can maybe realize maybe I'm doing something to make people feel uncomfortable. This is 2024. Feel so old. Just the fact is that if people can't open their minds and their hearts at this point in life, then you're just stumped and you're not gonna. And there's only the people that we can penetrate through, the open minds and the open hearts. And that's what we have to remember. How about you, Orlando?
Yes,
Have you felt any stigma or anything?
Similar to Tara, I have not personally. I moved here when I finished school in 2004. I was already 18 years old, so I think I'd gone through all the bullying and all of that, growing up.
Oh my gosh.
So by the time that I got here, I've never felt any kind of oppression or anything personally. I by then I was always myself and I felt sure of myself. But I know that in school, kids and our youth still go through that here.
What kind of bullying did you experience? Do you mind if I ask?
No. I think in college, by that point, it wasn't so much bullying. It was more like isolation. Nobody wants to hang out with you. You don't have
Who are they
anyone to
afraid
eat
of?
with, in the cafeteria. And
I was gonna bring up one of the things in my life personally being in like the lesbian kind of thing. There's like this stereotype of like a predatory lesbian.
What?
Which is definitely not true, but it's a thing that like straight girls are so scared that you are going to hit on them and that you're gonna like, because I feel like girls as a general statement are like more open and like touchy with each other and things
We
like
are,
that.
yeah.
And so a lot of straight people are like scared of doing any of that with a queer woman. And so
my
I've experienced a lot of like that sort of isolation of people not wanting to be
Wow.
touchy with me or like have sleepovers with me because they're scared that I'm going to like
roll
hurt
over and
them.
grope them?
That's I guess what they're scared of,
Oh
but
my
I don't know. But like, yeah,
gosh.
that's like a big issue that I know a lot of queer women face is like the predatory lesbian stereotype.
All right, well, that's it. We should squash that right now here, at least in our community. I mean, you guys, nobody is out to get you. Everybody has their own mind, body, and spirit, and they're not attracted to you, so get over yourself.
And
If
hopefully,
anything.
if they're attracted to you, they'll be respectful about it and not like,
Well, yeah, not just be like lying in wait to pounce.
yeah,
That's insane.
yeah.
more of that growing up. Just I grew up in the border cities of El Paso, Texas, and Juarez, Mexico. So even the Texas side of the border is 85% Hispanic. So growing up in a Hispanic culture that's a little bit more or much more close-minded, with the LGBTQ topics, and then also more religious as well. So growing up with that was definitely a fear of me coming out to my parents. I'm like, they're not going to accept me. They're not going to love me. And the, Latino culture being very machismo, like male chauvinism.
Yeah.
So all that plays with your mind, growing up. You're like, why is this happening to me? So we this is how we're born. We don't choose to be this, we're in,
Are
this is
born
innate.
this way. That's correct.
But yeah, just going back to that, I think it also depends by community as far as like town councils, like the town of Avon Council is very supportive.
Yes, they are.
Almost unanimously supportive are some of the things that we've worked on compared to maybe the one in Gypsum where they took down the pride flag at the Mountain Rec Center. So I just want to
I bet they shoot beer cans in their yard too.
Yeah, but I think here, in a way, being such a tourist destination, and so many people coming from all over the world to work here, it makes it a more diverse rural part of Colorado compared to some other places that are more close-minded. Sure. So I think in that sense, that's why I haven't maybe felt personally attacked or anything.
That's great, though. It's a comfort.
But I have seen it and expressed
seen
and
it.
heard about it with youth in school, and so that's still very much going on.
I have another important question. At what point in your life did you decide to say, you know what? I know I've got this fear. I know that I have to take a chance in my parents saying, ew. I know that the people around me are maybe going to change, but screw it. This is my time. This is it. What point of life were you at when you finally said, you know what? I am me.
I think I knew at a very young age. I think I was still in elementary school. I mean, I never had a girlfriend. And so I think I knew at a very young age, but I was always scared to come out to my parents. I think everyone knew at one point except my parents. But I feel blessed to have them support me.
So they supported you when you did.
It's not always the case, unfortunately, and it's very sad when that happens. But I can say that, my parents support me.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Support me.
Well, that makes me really happy. I'm really grateful for that. And same with you?
Yeah, more
You
or
were
less.
supported in your family?
It's taken some time and some, because like a big chunk of my family is from like very rural parts of town that were very, very unaccepting at first, but have come a long way and have learned and support me now.
That's great to hear. And it's really weird that you hear about the rural people, because those people are the ones that are bending sheep over. So what do they have?
And I think it's fair to say also that for parents, when their kids come out,
Sorry. It's like these guys, they have like no scruples, and they have the nerve to give you all. I mean, just come on.
Elena's making a very good point.
right? No,
go ahead.
and when I work with, we have a peer support group that we hold a couple of times a month.
I love
One
that.
we started with parents as well, so it's okay for them to go through this transition period as well mentally, to give them that space and to allow them to grow.
Yes.
But I've also seen where, parents aren't growing and it's getting worse at home. And I've seen it where kids just have to leave that environment because it's not healthy.
That's very harsh and very sad, because what if the kid is not even equipped to leave? They just end up on their own. They end up homeless, or they end up in a bad situation, or they end up hooking up with the wrong people just because they want to get out of the home style that they're in, and that's uncomfortable, but then they end up in another place that's just probably even more dangerous. Or hopefully they fall into a community like ours where they land in a nice soft spot of beautiful people like you guys and have a family surrounding them. Now, B, I think growing up for you was a little different.
Yeah, a little bit. I knew from a very young age that I wasn't male, like my peers. Definitely wasn't thinking like them. But I never really put a label on it for a long time. A lot of very much internalized transphobia on my end sort of kept me from actually accepting who I was. And it took a long time for me to work through that. And I'm so much happier now that I have. And just everyone out there, it's okay. It's okay. I know it's terrifying, because especially in the last couple of years with everybody really coming at you, because apparently we're the new punching bags for everyone, the trans community. But it's so much better. It really is, once you accept yourself and like sort of lose the layers of transphobia that have been beaten into you since a young age. There's definitely, like, growing up here in the Valley, it's always been relatively accepting. I haven't really seen too much sort of bullying, especially growing up. We had a couple of openly queer individuals at my school, and they were all very well accepted and liked in our community.
Wow, that's great.
But there was also a lot of transphobic rules at the school. No jewelry, men can't wear dresses, that sort of thing, which is very common.
So transphobic and homophobic are two completely different things. I think a lot of people are probably learning something right now. Homophobic is where you're just afraid of anybody that doesn't like the same sex of themselves. Transphobic are people that are very petrified because of the unknowledge that they have about people that are torn inside due to their gender identity.
Yes.
Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, that's a pretty darn good way to put it. Yeah, that was well done, boys.
Right
Actually,
on.
probably one of your better one of those.
Yeah, better than the sheep company.
For sure. But I always thought this community was very accepting relative to the rest of the U.S. And as Orlando said, it is a tourist destination, and we get all sorts of individuals that come through here. And I think that has made it, at least ideally, like ideas-wise, more diverse. A more diverse part of Colorado than say other parts.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the safest places I've ever been.
I would think so.
Like being queer, just
I would feel that way. I mean, I honest to God have more fun, feel more at home with my peers that are in this kind of group than a lot of other people that stand on the outside looking in with their noses up in the air. And I don't like hanging. I definitely feel like I belong more in the group of where everybody has felt awkward growing up their whole lives. I'm not really sure why, but I just do. And I like this company for me is like the greatest company. If people are phobic about anything, y'all are missing out on incredible personalities, life stories, and just beautiful spirits and souls. I'm gonna cry. I'm not kidding. I mean, it's just different, you know. So many people walk around with little airs about them, and they don't even regular. Wait, what are we again?
Cis.
cishet.
Cisdemic? What?
Cishet.
I'm a cishet.
You're cisgender heterosexual.
That's it right there. But there are people that are what you said, that don't accept themselves for just the person that they are, whether they have anything to excuse for a reason to be curious or confused or mad or hurt or sad. They just walk around with this air because they just have a facade. And so they are actually in a worse, more trapped prison feeling than people like you guys who come out and you say, this is who I am. I am going to show you I am a beautiful human being. And then the other people that are walking around all trapped in themselves because they don't want to show who they really are not people of the LGBTQ community.
And that's part of our mission at Mountain Pride, just to improve the lived experiences of all our community members here, and to have the youth have someone to look up to in this community and be like, okay, it's not just me, you know. I'm okay. I'm normal, you know. I have people to look up to and feel comfortable being myself.
I love that. That's amazing. Now, I do have a question for people that are trans curious. Yeah, because there's a fine line for people that don't understand. So some people are non-binary, and then there are some people that are literally trans. So that's where you cross over and you actually have a surgical procedure. Is that correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay, good. I want to hear the real thing.
So,
I love when they get mad.
yeah, right. There's a lot of transphobic.
There's a lot of ignorance out there.
But basically, it's just how you identify. You don't have to have surgery to be, you know, a trans individual.
Right.
People definitely feel better about it sometimes based on their dysphoria, on what they want.
What's dysphoria mean?
So like some people who hate how their body is gets really upset about their genitals or the way their body is shaped or stuff like that. And there's great advances in sciences that have helped a lot of people, and you can change that.
That's amazing.
So, and it's pretty amazing that we live in that time that we have access to that stuff. We could have access to that stuff, but you know, healthcare in America. But we'll get that's a whole nother.
We need another hour.
That's a whole nother thing. So, but no, you don't have to have the surgery to be, you know, identify as the opposite gender. I just identify as they, them because that's what I feel comfortable with, and I'm still on my growth, like, you know. So maybe it'll change in the future. But right now, that's where I'm at. So
I like that you take it day by day. I like that you don't sit there and fixate on this is what I have to be now, or this is what I've decided to identify as. You can grow or change or whatever because you have the freedom to do that because you are you and you're a human.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're always able to change if you want to, whenever you want to. You can go, you can flip-flop, and like that's okay. And that actually happens sometimes for sure. And so yeah, you can change, but also some people don't change, and you just know, and that's totally cool too. And you know what? Sometimes I wish I was like you, so I could just, actually put some stuff in to get rid of some of my dysphoria that flip-flops on me every other day. But where was I going with that? I'm just saying everyone is valid in your own way, and you can identify how you want. And you're valid, and your problems matter, and we care about you, and we want you to be happy.
Does being loved help with dysphoria?
Depends.
On
Depends. Well, it depends on the dysphoria. A lot of trans dysphoria, from what I've experienced and heard about, it's very encompassing, very life destroying.
Oh, wow.
And actually contributed to a lot of my mental problems in my younger years that I just didn't look into, and just was like, wow, I hate myself. But I also just it was brutal. But you can change, and there's resources out there, and there are people that love you. So
yeah, and you are not alone, like Abby said. So if you need help, you need to talk to someone, you're looking for resources, definitely hit Mountain Pride up. Look for us in social media. Feel free to reach out to myself as well. I'm happy to do one-on-ones, me or our executive director, Mads, as well. We're always available to support anybody in need in any way that we can.
Thank you for that. And I really want everybody to talk about if there's any outreach for anybody, because I don't know how much time we have. We're not doing a half hour. This is going long, and love it or leave it. But my point is that mental health tied in with the transgender, the community, the queer, LGBTQ, I'll just say that. That's easier. Community is a very big. I just got a shock from my microphone when my lip hit it. There's a lot of mental health issues, and it's through the youth, and it's through people that are all the way up to 75 years old. You go through a lot of mental health issues because acceptance is different, and being your own self and all that. So I just want to tell you guys that you are really solid humans, and I know you've all been through a lot, but where you're sitting right now, I really do see mentally healthy people sitting in front of me. Not you, just them.
I'm the crazy one.
You're a mess. No,
It's true.
but how do you feel about that?
About what specifically?
She tuned me out.
About being crazy?
No. Do you feel the same, as far as mental health goes, that there's more struggle sometimes in the LGBTQ community than everybody else, just because they have more to deal with, because there's more put on?
Well, I think that it's hard for me to speak from that standpoint, not being identifying as part of the LGBT community.
Yeah.
So I can't say one way or another, they have more problems or
No,
we
I'm
have
just
more
saying,
problems.
have you noticed, have you ever talked to anybody that has gone through issues that that it is a situation that we should talk about?
Oh, for sure. I think it's absolutely important that we talk about it, because I think a lot of people that don't understand the issue like to press upon what their values upon, gender reassignment, on being gay, being with a man, marrying a man or woman. And then it becomes a rights issue because they don't understand. So, it's not something that they experience.
Yeah.
So they can't identify with it. They label it, wrong or not the right or something like that. So I think it's 100%, an issue that needs to be surfaced to everybody, and people need, in an ideal world, have the empathy from hearing from your community about their experiences, to know that
Right.
hey, we are all people, we are all flesh and blood.
Everybody's together, nobody's alone in anything.
Exactly.
I have a question for you because you brought it up, and I'm curious, especially because Tierra had mentioned the upcoming doom, which means election, Do you think, now we've already reversed abortion and we haven't even changed our government yet. Do you feel that gay marriages are going to go back to be illegal when our government changes?
I hope not. I think that would be...
I hope not, too.
Yeah. I mean,
But how do you feel about the way the world feels right now? Do you think that they're going to try and do stuff like that?
I think that's, why we're all here. We all have these crazy, mental issues because everything feels so up in the air.
Yeah.
Everything feels like it's moving backwards. Everything feels like, I think we saw over the last 4 years that, hey, like these things that progress we feel like we've made can be undone and reversed. And I think that's terrifying for so many of us.
I agree.
Regardless of, how we identify, even as a woman, like with abortion, you were saying, all of our rights are,
I'm
basically
personally scared for a lot of individuals in many different categories. I think that bigotry is going to grow bigger and judgment is going to get higher and elitism is going to just cover the sky.
Well, that's why it's important to go out and vote. I know that
Thank
maybe
you.
some of the candidates, some of the
please.
candidates, it's not what we expect, especially like the younger generation, but you do have, a say in what happens into the future of this county, especially with local elections. That's really what affects our day-to-day operations.
Yes, because Tiara, you mentioned something about local council members that actually vocalize their disdain for the LGBTQ community. And they're community leaders. They're leaders of certain. That does not sit well with me at all, and that's a whole nother thing that I would like to get into one day. But you're the youthful one here. You're the baby.
I am the baby.
You are the baby.
I am the baby.
So since you are the baby, explain how important a local vote in this community is, especially what's coming up, so things don't go to the way that I am visualizing in my head.
That's such a hard question. Obviously, it's very important because, especially locally, that's your community. That's where you live.
Yeah.
That's what's going to impact you most directly. I don't really have more to say on that
Well,
than that.
I mean, the impact on you all as a youthful community or the LGBT or just the community in general is going to be hugely affected by the people that are running our state, our government, and our towns locally. So it's important to say why people should get out there and put their voice out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does matter.
And get to know, the people that are running for these local positions, get to know them to see if they truly accept and, support the LGBT community.
Yeah.
It's not that they're just saying it to gain your vote. I mean, really do your research and your homework on that. And
there's nothing worse than when you see somebody that's in that world of politicians where they just say things to appease people. I mean, we're not stupid. Everybody knows there's no dummies in this arena. So, you know what I'm saying? It's just ridiculous. But I have to say that I could go on and on and on all night long with you guys. Yeah. We're almost at an hour. So luckily we don't have any rules or regulations. I want to thank Steve and Kristen Lee for letting us use the KZYR studios here in Riverwalk. We love you guys. Thank you so much. And if you were listening and enjoying this podcast, please know that you can always reach out to Mountain Pride Orlando or any one of us. We are all over social media. You know where to find us. And closing words for everybody. Jen?
No, I'm just so grateful to be in the same room with all of you. I love you all dearly. And I think that we should have these conversations. I think it's important to understand, the issues that are affecting the LGBTQ community and, and how we can help, how we can be supportive, and how we can all continue to,
Brilliant.
build a community that we're coexisting and comfortable and feel like we have the rights that we need to live fully functional.
I love that. B.
I just want to say thank you all for coming, and thank you all for watching.
Why do you look so stoned all of a sudden?
I know,
He's like,
right? Hey. And love is love, and good luck out there, everyone.
Love is love. That's
Did you
right.
get a hit of something when we weren't looking?
yes. Well, thanks for having me. It
We
was
love you,
great
Orlando.
to be around you all. Just want to let you know that you all belong here. I do want to let you know that Pride in the Park is coming up June 1st. Save the date. That's our 5th annual Pride in the Park. We also have some events for the rest of the month. We have a queer climbing night at Eagle Valley
I
Fitness.
just had a visual. Queer climbing. Yeah, I'm in.
That's happening at Eagle Climbing and Fitness on Sunday from 5 to 7. On Tuesday, we have our monthly Coffee with Queers at Two Arrows from 5:30 to 7:30. So come out and just create this space for us to come together and create community. And then on Wednesday, the 31st, we have our bi-monthly series of Read with Pride Book Club at the Bookworm in Edwards. So that's at 5:30. So come out and check us out. Be a part of the community. Come and get to know members of your community. We'll be there.
Orlando, you're just amazing, and we can't thank you enough for being here, especially representing Mountain Pride and everybody here in our community. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Beautiful.
Well, I'm just happy to be here and be able to like talk about being gay and queer and all of the like problems and also all the positives, because everyone who knows me knows I won't shut up about being queer.
I'm here, I'm queer, get used to it.
Exactly. And it's nice to have a place to like bring it up and bring up these important local topics too. So
Absolutely.
really happy
Thank
to
you.
be
You
here.
are all such beautiful people. We will continue on conversations with the LGBTQ community. That's so hard to say. Throughout the year, we are always going to be friends of everybody here. And please open your minds, your hearts, and have a little love for everybody, because we are all one big, beautiful family here in our community. So thank you guys for being here. We are the Chatbox, and you will see us on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram. See you, everybody. Peace.